You are what you do, not what you say you'll do. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Had I left those images hidden in the emotions, I might have been torn to pieces by them. Faith, hope, love, and insight are the highest achievements of human effort. They are found given by experience. The healthy man does not torture others. Generally, it is the tortured who turn into torturers. The capacity for inner dialogue is a touchstone for outer objectivity. As a child, I felt myself to be alone, and I am still, because I know things and must hint at things which others apparently know nothing of, and for the most part do not want to know. Nothing affects the life of a child so much as the unlived life of its parent. Even a happy life cannot be without a measure of darkness, and the word happy would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. Synchronicity is an ever-present reality for those who have eyes to see. Every form of addiction is bad, no matter whether the narcotic be alcohol, morphine, or idealism. Shame is a soul-eating emotion. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. Wholeness is not achieved by cutting off a portion of one's being, but by integration of the contraries. As far as we can discern, the sole purpose of human existence is to kindle a light of meaning in the darkness of mere being. To ask the right question is already half the solution of a problem. There is no coming to consciousness without pain. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, in order to avoid facing their own soul. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Life really does begin at 40. Up until then, you are just doing research. Everyone you meet knows something you don't know but need to know. Learn from them. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. Normality is a fine ideal for those who have no imagination. Solitude is for me a fount of healing, which makes my life worth living. Talking is often a torment for me, and I need many days of silence to recover from the futility of words. Nothing has a stronger influence psychologically on their environment, and especially on their children, than the unlived life of the parent. Wisdom accepts that all things have two sides. Embrace your grief, for there your soul will grow. The creation of something new is not accomplished by the intellect, but by the play instinct, acting from inner necessity. The creative mind plays with the objects it loves. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Free will is the ability to do gladly that which I must do. We cannot change anything until we accept it. Condemnation does not liberate, it oppresses. The ability to ask questions is the greatest resource in learning the truth. Mistakes are, after all, the foundations of truth, and if a man does not know what a thing is, it is at least an increase in knowledge if he knows what it is not. In all chaos there is a cosmos, in all disorder a secret order. Synchronicity, a meaningful coincidence of two or more events where something other than the probability of chance is involved. Where love rules, there's no will to power, and where power predominates, love is lacking. The one is the shadow of the other. In every adult, there lurks a child, an eternal child, something that is always becoming, is never completed, and calls for unceasing care, attention, and education. That is the part of the personality which wants to develop and become whole. We meet ourselves time and again in 1,000 disguises on the path of life. The difference between a good life and a bad life is how well you walk through the fire. Neurosis is the natural byproduct of pain avoidance. The greatest tragedy of the family is the unlived lives of the parents. Art is a kind of innate drive that seizes a human being and makes him its instrument. To perform this difficult office, it is sometimes necessary for him to sacrifice happiness and everything that makes life worth living for the ordinary human being. The highest, most decisive experience is to be alone with one's own self. You must be alone to find out what supports you. When you find that you cannot support yourself, only this experience can give you an indestructible foundation. There is no coming to consciousness without pain. One looks back with appreciation to the brilliant teachers, but with gratitude to those who touched our human feelings. The curriculum is so much necessary raw material, but warmth is the vital element for the growing plant and for the soul of the child. In each of us there is another whom we do not know. Hurry is not of the devil, hurry is the devil. Shadow work is the path of the heart warrior. Whatever is rejected from the self appears in the world as an event. When you are up against a wall, put down roots like a tree until clarity comes from deeper sources to see over that wall and grow. Intuition is perception via the unconscious that brings forth ideas, images, new possibilities, and ways out of blocked situations. The world will ask you who you are, and if you don't know, the world will tell you. The greatest potential for growth and self-realization exists in the second half of life. Real work is completed in silence and strikes a chord in the minds of only a very few. All fanaticism is repressed doubt. God enters through the wound. The pendulum of the mind alternates between sense and nonsense, not between right and wrong. One must be able to let things happen. To confront a person with their own shadow is to show them their own light. Perhaps I myself am the enemy who needs to be loved. Man cannot stand a meaningless life. The doctor is effective only when he himself is affected. Only the wounded physician heals. Called or not, God is always there. The foundation of all mental illness is the unwillingness to experience legitimate suffering. We cannot live the afternoon of life according to the program of life's morning, for what in the morning was true will in evening become a lie. Religion is a defense against the experience of God. That which you do not bring to consciousness comes to you as your fate. That which you do bring to consciousness, whether it was what you thought you wanted or not, is your destiny. The least of things with a meaning is worth more in life than the greatest of things without it. Knowledge rests not upon truth alone, but upon error also. The unexpected and the incredible belong in this world. Only then is life whole. Everyone can afford to give away a smile. We need more understanding of human nature, because the only real danger that exists is man himself. Resistance to the organized mass can be effected only by the man who is as well organized in his individuality as the mass itself. What if I should discover that the poorest of the beggars and the most impudent of offenders are all within me, and that I stand in need of the alms of my own kindness, that I myself am the enemy who must be loved? What then? Man is the microcosm of the macrocosm. The God on earth is built on the pattern of the God in nature. But the universal consciousness of the real ego transcends a millionfold the self-consciousness of the personal for false ego. The world of gods and spirits is truly nothing but the collective unconscious inside me. So they speak soothingly about progress and the greatest possible happiness, forgetting that happiness is itself poisoned if the measure of suffering has not been fulfilled. Midlife is the time to let go of an over-dominant ego and to contemplate the deeper significance of human existence. Nothing worse could happen to one than to be completely understood. The decisive question for man is he related to something infinite or not? That is the telling question of his life. The self is our life's goal, for it is the completest expression of that fateful combination we call individuality. We want to have certainties and no doubts, results and no experiments, without even seeing that certainties can arise only through doubt and results only thorough experiment. The unconscious wants to flow into consciousness in order to reach the light, but at the same time it continually thwarts itself because it would rather remain unconscious. That is to say, God wants to become man, but not quite. We deem those happy who from the experience of life have learnt to bear its ills without being overcome by them. Space flights are merely an escape, a fleeing away from oneself, because it is easier to go to Mars or to the moon than it is to penetrate one's own being. I'm astonished, disappointed, pleased with myself. I'm distressed, depressed, rapturous. I'm all these things at once and cannot add up the sum. It is also possible for the unconscious or an archetype to take complete possession of a man and to determine his fate down to the smallest detail. Loneliness does not come from having no people about one, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to oneself, or from holding certain views which others find inadmissible. What is essential in a work of art is that it should rise far above the realm of personal life and speak to the spirit and heart of the poet, as man to the spirit and heart of mankind. This whole creation is essentially subjective, and the dream is the theatre where the dreamer is at once scene, actor, prompter, stage manager, author, audience, and critic. Learn your theories as well as you can, but put them aside when you touch the miracle of the living soul. It is high time that we realize that it is pointless to praise the light and preach it if nobody can see it. It is much more needful to preach the art of seeing. Life calls not for perfection, but for completeness. If a man knows more than others, he becomes lonely. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. Do not compare, do not measure. No other way is like yours. All other ways deceive and tempt you. You must fulfill the way that is in you. Warmth is the vital element for the growing plant and for the soul of the child. We know that the wildest and most moving dramas are played not in the theatre, but in the hearts of ordinary men and women. How can I be substantial if I do not cast a shadow? I must have a dark side also, if I am to be whole. The most important question anyone can ask is, what myth am I living? I would rather be whole than good. Thinking is difficult, that's why most people judge. I'm not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become. What you resist persists. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darknesses of other people. No tree, it is said, can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell. I must also have a dark side if I am to be whole. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. The first half of life is devoted to forming a healthy ego. The second half is going inward and letting go of it. The best political, social, and spiritual work we can do is to withdraw the projection of our shadow onto others. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to our channel, Quotes Wisdom.